Now we're going to look at how to script this audio that we have to play. So right now, just as a reminder, we have our audio source set up, and we have our particle set up, but we're only actually triggering the bump particle. We're not triggering the bump sound effect. So we're actually going to set this up pretty similarly to how we did the particle. So at the top, we need to know what audio source do we want to play whenever we have our bump thing that happens. And just as a reminder, our audio source, similar to our particle effect, is where all of the instructions for how to interpret the sound effects. This is a component. As long as we have a reference to this component somewhere, we can tell it to just play. We've already set it up, we just need it to play. And again, we've already set up our audio clip here, so it will just play whatever audio clip is preset in there. Now, if you wanted, you could actually hot swap audio clips from a single audio source inside of script. That would be another way to do it. That would be useful if you had different abilities on the player and you wanted to keep one audio source that follows the player around and swap, okay, this is the gunshot sound effect, this is the jump sound effect, etc. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to find this one audio source in the scene and say, I want to play that. I already have it set up. And because this is a child object, it's already set up to do that pretty easily. And so I'm just going to call this audio source. We're going to, again, expose a variable to the inspector so that we can drag and drop in which one we want to use. And again, this is an empty variable that we're creating. We could call this feedback audio if we want. And once we save this, and actually I'm going to go down here and figure out where I want to put this. And we know that this is where everything's happening. So I can just say audio feedback. Okay, and then we'll put our code here, but in order to do that, we need this up top. So we need a reference to an audio source that we want to play. If I save that and I go to my level, let it compile, shake the screen around a little bit, you'll see now that we have an empty node on our audio source for feedback audio. Now, this case, it's a little bit different. Like we could, do the dropdown, but because we didn't really name this properly, it's not easy to find. But we know where this is. This is our bumper. This is our audio source. I'm just going to drag and drop this audio source in. Okay. And once I've done that, I'm going to save and go back to my code. And so now that we've declared an empty variable and exposed it, then we filled in the empty variable by saying, this is the one I want. And then down here, all we have to do is say feedback audio dot play. And once we do that, I believe this should work if we hit that. The play button, let it compile. There we go. And I'm not a huge fan of this particular sound for the bumper, but it works. We have our audio visual feedback. And so next, I want to talk a little bit about how to make this more modular and check for error handling, because mistakes do happen while you're doing your level layout, and we'll check for those, but that'll be in the next video.